will have to say in 4 years, I don't think we've ever had that many meetings in 1 month. So if anybody thinks this is normal, it's not. It's really not normal. And we've tried very diligently for the last 4 years to make sure that we save the taxpayers their money. So just wanted to make that clear. Motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Spangler, second by Mr. Mariola. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Matthews?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Mr. Mariola?
Aye.
At this point, we have the treasurer's report. Mrs. Bowman, please.
Two items tonight. A, financial report for November. I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the financial report for December 2011 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Mariola, second by Mrs. Powers. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Aye. Mr. Mariola?
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews?
Aye.
Check register for November. I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the check register for November 2011 as presented in exhibit number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Matthews, second by Mr. Spangler. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Aye. Mr. Mariola?
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews?
Aye.
Mrs. Powell?
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. Okay, at this point, we have a report from our superintendent, Dr. Jones.
Thanks, Mrs. Matthews. It's a pleasure to be here at Kimpton Middle School, and we do have a presentation called Kimpton Building Report, and we also have some students to recognize, so we look forward to that. And I'd like to introduce our principal, Mr. Jim Saxter, who I've always said has great choice in neckties.
Oh, my goodness.
Good evening. I want to thank the board for coming tonight to Kimpton Middle School. It's always an honor to have you here today so that we can present and share with you some of the great things that we're doing here at Kimpton Middle School. When I accepted the position of principal last year, one of the first things I did was look at our continuous improvement plan. And those are the goals that the school has to improve itself. And one of those goals was to work on the school climate. When students go to 5 years of an elementary school and then they begin that 2-year rotation of their 2 years of Lakeview and now 2 years of Kimpton, it's hard for students to develop that school spirit, the feeling that they belong in a school, that they're a part of that the climate and the environment. And so we worked really hard to begin to change that, so students really began to develop that school spirit to where they realize this is the first time where they're actually coming together as a school for interscholastic sports, beginning to do academic challenges across the state with other districts. And so what we began last year was working on recognition of our students during further academics. And so each quarter we'd recognize our students and how well they performed academically. We would recognize students that were involved in clubs, as well as students that are involved in our sporting teams. And this year we continue to carry it further with the initiative with our athletic director, Mr. Shantholzer, and we developed what's called a Player of the Week. And we wanted to recognize our student athletes for the talents that they demonstrate on the field. And so we asked many of our parents, the students who are involved who are Players of the Week for our fall sport activities, and we wanted to recognize them to you tonight. And so I'm going to recognize the students by team, and then Dr. Jones has a certificate for them, and then there will be the opportunity when they're done, actually, you can kind of just go around the circulation desk, and you can go out to the hallway, and Mrs. Maziata is going to take the students down to get a picture. And so we want to recognize, I'm going to go by sports, and we want to recognize our students. 7th and 8th grade cheerleading is Michaela Drapp. For 7th grade football, Richard Brown. Now, I understand not everybody was able to be here, but I still want to recognize everybody's name. So when your name's called, you can come up. Richard Brown, Tommy Grogan, Kyle Guzman, Nick Kohler. Eighth grade football, I want to recognize Monty Board. Owen Fankhauser. Jason Gobble. Jacob Machar. Nathan Bauer.
And go down with neighbor. What's he got with neighbor? Congratulations, neighbor.
For our seventh grade volleyball, Kayla Cape. Shayna Hilton.
Yeah, there we go. Congratulations.
We'll get this right.
By the end of the week.
Megan Andersey. Kayla Thompson. And Chrissy D. Marino. Students for 8th grade volleyball, Mary Tressel. Tori Price. Marie Courier. Becca Jones. Taylor Calvert. And lastly, our cross-country students, Ian Schloss, Kennedy Adams, Kyle Jenkins, Maria Colvis, Logan Morris, Jessica Stout, Lindsay Molnar. Lastly, he's not able to be here, Zach Taylor. So again, these are our students who are the players of the week. We are able to recognize them for their talents on the field. We're recognizing students what they're doing in the classroom, but want to go above and beyond and recognize what they're doing outside the classroom. So, and we're proud of our students and the sportsmanship that they exhibit as they are representatives with other schools for Stow, Munroe Falls and Kimpton Middle School. Thank you. Mrs. Mazziato will take you guys downstairs. We want to get a picture. Great opportunity. I understand many of you are very busy. If you're not able to stay, it's a good opportunity for you to go with your time. I understand you're busy. Thanks for coming. I want to share with you just a short presentation of what we're doing at Kimpton Middle School. Like I said earlier, looking at the continuous improvement plan and looking at our school climate, school climate. One of the things that Kimpton Middle School was able to do was we understand that peer relations and how students feel accepted as a part of the school community is a big determiner of how successful they are in school. If students feel safe, they feel secure, that creates that that just sense of calmness where they're able to learn. They feel like they're able to make the connections with other peers and their teachers and be successful in school. Kimpton Middle School was able to become part of a grant that the Summit County Education Services Center received this year, $80,000 grant. And Kimpton Middle School is one of 16 schools in Summit County to become a part of this program. And it's the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program. We understand positive peer relations is critical to students being successful. And just to give you a little background, Dan Obeas is the developer of the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program. He is from Sweden. This is the longest running bullying prevention program, if I understand right, in the world. Goes back to data going back to 1970. It was brought to the United States by Sue Limber. She worked with Dr. Obeas in the 90s and was the U.S. developer of the program to get it implemented into U.S. schools. And I want to share with you just a little bit about what the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program is and how we are able to bring that to Kimpton Middle School. First, need to define what bullying is. It's a term that's kind of thrown out there a lot, but there truly is a definition. You need to understand what some of the characteristics of the definition are. And bullying is when someone repeatedly and on purpose says or does mean or hurtful things to another person who is not able to defend him or herself. So if a student is being mean, whether it's verbally, physically, mentally, it could be social alienation, if it happens one time, that is something that we're going to react to and we're going to take care of it. But technically, by the definition, it's not considered bullying unless it's a repeated event. Okay? Also, when you look at it deals with the person who has a hard time defending him or herself, there's an imbalance of power there. You know, two students that have a knockdown fight, there's a balance of power there. They're both fighting each other. But in a bullying situation, there's an imbalance of power. There's a weaker person who is not able to defend themselves. So, want to share with you what some of the characteristics of the program are. Looking at, or again, components of bullying behavior. It involves aggressive behavior, whether that's physical, verbal, or that social alienation piece. It typically involves a pattern of behavior over time, and again, there's that imbalance of power. In essence, bullying is peer abuse. It's something that we want to be proactive about. We don't want to allow this to occur in our schools because it's going to affect how students, how they behave in the classroom, how they develop academically. The program components of the Obeas Bullying Program, there are 5 components. We right now are in this, and I like how this diagram is, it's a puzzle because it all fits together, each component. There's a school-wide piece, which is what we're working on right now. There's a class, so we're going to develop school-wide expectations, and we're going to develop a program. It's going to go down into the classroom as the teachers actually teach the students in small groups, and then it goes down to the individual level where the students are given the skills to be able to act appropriately, or in a situation, they're able to have the skills to be able to find help if need be, but to stop a bullying situation. And then what's neat, we also involve the community. And that's something we want to do with Stow and Munroe Falls is involve our community. And then the 5th piece, which is kind of overlapping everything, it's involving the parents. Let there be a good flow of communication between the school, between the families, to understand that there's situations and events going on. And we want to be able to deal with that. Looking at the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program in a little bit more detail, what it is designed for all students. We talk about differentiating our instruction to meet the needs of our students. This is what the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program does as well. It meets students where they are and helps them develop those skills. It's not only preventative, it's also responsive. So we want to develop the skills so that we can help students stop bullying, but it also provides us the skills to be able to respond to it immediately to stop what's going on. It's focused on changing the norms and restructuring the school setting. It's great. The Obeas Bullying Prevention Program is a framework. It takes what you're already doing and it incorporates that while kind of taking the things that aren't being effective and tweaks them or changes them around. It is research-based, like I said, going back to 1970, the longest running with data consistently of bullying prevention information. And it's not time limited. It requires systematic efforts over time. So this is something that we began literally towards the beginning of our school year. And it's something that we're going to begin to work with our staff on getting in. We have a team of teachers, of 12 teachers, of staff members that have been trained. And we're going to start working with our staff. We've already had a 2-hour training with our staff to kind of get them informed of what the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program is. And our next steps are going to kind of the school-wide program to give our teachers the skills and to help be able to work in these small classroom groups. What the Obeas Bowling program is not, it's not a curriculum. It's not something that's in a textbook that you just sit down and you just go word by word. It's a framework. It takes the great things that we're already doing, how we recognize our students through our academics, through our athletics. We have a Kimpton compliment cards. When we see students exhibiting the pillars of character, they get a ticket, and that gets them into a drawing that they can win prizes. That's something that we can incorporate into the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program. It's not conflict resolution, it's not peer mediation, it's not anger management. Again, like I said, there's an imbalance of power. Peer mediation are two peers that have the same amount of power that are able to work together to resolve situations. In a bullying situation, there is an imbalance of power that's not going to be successful to have a peer mediation sense. The effects of being bullied are vast, they're huge, and they have huge impacts. Lowering self-esteem. A student can only be bullied verbally, mentally, physically so much before it really truly begins to affect who they are, their self-esteem, their self-concept, their worth. It could lead to a depression, anxiety. Absenteeism and lower school achievement. I mean, if you think about it, a student does not want to be in school if that's where they're getting bullied. Or if they're in school, they're not thinking about the lesson at hand, they're thinking about what's going to happen in 10 minutes when I go in the hallway and who's going to be there and who's going to be mean to me, right? Can lead to illness where students are actually physically getting ill, and I hate putting it up there, but thoughts of suicide. It's an escape. It's not the appropriate escape. So what we're going to do is develop skills in the students so they understand what they can do to respond positively to a situation that involves bullying. Not going to go through this graph, it's kind of huge, but to basically, in a nutshell, to help you understand what the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program is, imagine students standing in a hallway and there's a bullying situation. Student H is the student who's being bullied by student A, okay? Whether it's, say this one's a verbal and it could get physical. Students B and C are the followers, the henchmen, the supporters. They're egging them on, they're there, they're in that group, they're following along. And D, the passive supporters, are the students who like the bully. They think it's funny, they think that, but they're not involved in the bullying, right? But they're supporting it, whether it's by being there and laughing and supporting. The disengaged onlookers, E, those are the bystanders. And I think that's a vast majority of the students that would be standing in a hallway watching what's going on, probably because they can't believe what's happening or they want to watch. Possible defenders, these are the students that want to help but don't know what to do. They don't have those skills to intervene. And then G are the defenders. Those are the students that, whether they're successful or not, try to stop the bully. In a nutshell, what the Obeas Bullying Prevention Program wants to do is take those students that are B, C, D, E, and F and make them defenders. You take bystanders and make them what I've heard called upstanders. Whether, we're never going to stop students from having the mentality of being bullied all the time. But what we can do is say, you know what, right now, this time, you're not going to be successful. These bystanders are going to stop what's going on immediately and become upstanders and support the student who's being bullied. We all know that there are adults in the workplace who are bullies. So we understand that it's something that's going to continue, that we may not be able to stop it immediately, but we can develop interventions to begin to stop it. So by the basis of the program is to give students the skills so that they can intervene and support a student who is being bullied. Like I said again, looking at the program, we are in the school phase right now. We're just teaching our staff what's going on, helping you understand, if there's 8 parts of this school-wide level of components. We have done the first 3 so far. We have established a bullying prevention coordinating committee. These 12 staff members took 2 days and were trained, and they became like a trainers. They're going to come back, and along with staff from the Summit County ESC, they're going to help us train our staff. We conducted committee and staff trainings. We've done that. We've had our first 2-hour training. We did that during staff and service day in the afternoon. We were able to take that time and begin to help our teachers just become aware of some of the things that they're seeing in the hallway, being at their doors, being visible. And some of them have said already that they're starting to notice behaviors that they never noticed before because they're thinking about it. They're trying to be aware of how students, whether it's they're shunning students, whether they're just being mean, social alienation, or whether it's physical or verbal. We, on December 7th, administered the Obeas Bullying Questionnaire to every single one of our students. So 865 surveys we're giving out to our students, and it's all anonymous. All we ask for is their grade. And so hopefully that information will come back in about 2 weeks, and that'll provide a plethora of information to help us understand the thoughts and the feelings of our students, how they feel about our school. It'll help us understand hot spots in our school of where we need to truly focus a lot of attention, because that's an area where students are getting bullied. So a great opportunity. Where we're going to go from here as we move forward, we're going to continue to hold staff discussion groups, train our staff, introduce school rules against bullying. We're going to look at our school supervision and the areas that we need to monitor. We'll eventually hold a kickoff event, because this is going to be a big thing that we're going to do with our students, and we're going to involve the staff, involve the parents, because we want to get them involved as well. We'll send them a letter, help them understand what we're doing and what support they can bring to us. So I just wanted to, in a nutshell, kind of share with you what we're doing to try to improve our school climate, to help our students, feel safe, feel secure in school, so that they can do the job that they're here to do, which is to learn. So I want to thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, I can answer those.
How did the students get the message, or do you have a core group that they go and tell?
You mean how will the students get trained?
Right.
It'll happen, we have every day, we have the opportunity to have an advisory intervention enrichment time. It's 30 minutes every day. We will take, the goal we will have once a week, where we'll have like classroom meetings. And so that's where they'll get their training in that small classroom group. But that'll come after we train our staff.
Will this go on to the high school then?
That's the goal. The Summit County Education Services Center is right now seeking a federal grant that would expand, and what they want to do is work with the schools and to see where they're going. It'd be a great opportunity. We talked with Sally Dean about trying to get this up to the high school. So that is, and we want to go down too. We want to go down to Lakeview as well. So trying to talk with Mike Herchick and Debbie Rohrer, who we're working with, those consultants for ESC. And so I'm trying to work with them to see how I can get our foot in the door so that we can get it going. Because this is a research-based program that has a lot of support from various groups that are associated with bullying prevention. A lot of success.
We're very lucky to have had the money to do this. This is excellent.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The high school does have the Happy
Right.
organization, which is committed to prevention of bullying throughout the high school.
Is it very widespread now?
I couldn't tell you off the top how many
Yeah.
kids are involved in it, but I certainly see
It's
some
just
of the
a group.
activities that are going around.
They're like the G's.
Yeah.
They're like the G's.
And that's another piece that we want to add as a student initiative. We've taken our student council to a stand-up leadership conference, and our goal is to work with them to get them getting an initiative going that would lead up to, in essence, where they go to Happy. We're getting them ready, they're involved in a group so that they can go and become a part of the group in high school.
The great thing is, as our kids at your level get an understanding of what A, B, C, D, and G are, and get those skills, as they move on to the high school, they're taking those skills with them. So
Right.
that should help extra that area.
Great opportunity.
Jim, just to add to that too, just to add that with the kids, that the survey that they did too, I think will be very telling because of what they say to me behind closed doors, with a situation that might not look like what you would think of as a bullying situation, but it's all that overt behavior that we don't see until we get them behind closed doors and start to talk. So Jim and I are hoping that through those surveys too, we have a lot more information to work with our kids.
As far as what happens at home and not necessarily being bullied at school,
That's not as much of it as just
there's bullying at home and then there's bullying at school.
Right. You
You
mean
know.
neighborhood type things? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking at home. I was growing up in a bullying house, and it happens at home as well as at school.
Right.
And how would they deal with that?
That part we haven't addressed even the training that we've been in.
There's
Up to
a
this
thing
point.
called abusive parents that they won't talk about,
And that may be a part of the training when we get into the parent section.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
deal with the community discussions.
Yeah, I'll put it in my board reports,
That'd be
as
great.
how we do it every month.
Thanks.
Is anybody that wishes to have any discussion? This is the time for community discussion. I think we can move right along, and Dr. Jones with the superintendent recommendations.
Okay, Ms. Mathews, thank you very much. We have several employment moves, just to highlight, those are items A through G in your agenda. We'd like to take those as a group unless there's any objection. We'd like to point out that under employment, we are hiring an additional part-time intervention specialist teacher at Echo Hills, and that is due to an increase in enrollment in our special education population in that school. The latest student put us over the state mandated limit of 16 on a caseload, requiring us to lower that caseload. So we are using federal dollars to cover that. I want to thank Dr. Marty for being frugal, how she scheduled us in the very beginning, and that has added only as necessary and close attention to those federal dollars. The other one I wanted to highlight was we do have 2 administrative contracts, and as the board knows, these 2 gentlemen have been given extensive additional duties, responsibilities. They've essentially taken a retired position that was held, was a custodial supervisor, and divvied up those responsibilities. So Mr. Damon, our transportation director, will now be taking over maintenance supervision responsibilities at the high school, as well as upkeep of grounds, and also field preparation, which is quite an endeavor. And we've asked Mr. Smith to pick up the custodial supervision across the entire district. And so he'll be a lot more hands-on with scheduling of our custodians, any issues that arise, prioritizing their work. He also is now, assuming that, is on call 24/7. In the past, the person who held this position was handling most of the custodial responsibilities in the evenings. Now that's Mr. Smith's responsibility. So I just wanted to point those 2 out. They both have additional titles to kind of signify that there's additional responsibilities.
Could I add on before you ask any questions? This evening we will be approving Susan Irving as a substitute for central office. I want to make sure that everybody's clear that it's just a substitute on an as-needed basis. She has the experience, as you know, she retired effective November 1st and was formerly the assistant treasurer for the district. So if something should come up and we would need a substitute because somebody is off, she would be available. If she's available, she could help us out. But I want the board to be clear that we're doing cost cutting all the time. If we can do without, we will do without.
Thank you. And if I can make a comment about the Mr. Dean and Mr. Smith, again, we are not adding on to our money. We are using money that had been saved by the retirement so that the community would be upset that we're, we get a levy pass and we're spending like crazy. We're not. We're definitely not. Still a savings, definitely still half of the amount. And both of these gentlemen well deserve what they're, I think they probably deserve more. We just can't give it, just put it that way.
So with that, I wish to direct most of the comments, wish to recommend that the board approve items A through G as presented here. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Spangler and second by Mrs. Wright. I'm not used to hearing her. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Wright.
Aye.
Mr. Mariola.
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews.
Aye.
Mrs. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Spangler.
Item H is payment in lieu of transportation. We have 2 schools to add, Old Trail and Walsh Bentonville High School. So I wish to recommend that the Board of Education for payment in lieu of transportation updated Neola Board policies. So I wish to recommend the Board of Education adopt the updated Neola Board policies, which were presented at actually 2 previous meetings. A quick copy of the updated board policies from Neola of Ohio is available in the superintendent's office.
So moved. Moved by Mrs. Matthews, second by Mr. Spangler. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Matthews?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Mr. Muriel?
Aye.
Item J is a resolution for the tax budget, whereas in 2002, the Summit County Budget Commission acting pursuant to the authority granted Ohio Revised Code voted to waive the requirement contained in the Ohio Revised Code for Summit County School Districts and other political subdivisions to file an annual tax budget. So we do wish to recommend collecting any more clarification.
I see a whole bunch
Any
more.
questions about that?
I'll give you my glasses.
He has his own, he's too ready to put them on.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Spangler, second by Mrs. Wright. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Murriela?
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews?
Item K is an extended field trip. This is for our high school business class. Approximately 25 students, 2 chaperones, going to Chicago. Thursday, April 26th, and returning Friday, April 27th. I think you saw the itinerary that was included in the packet, so you're going to get a lot of behind-the-scenes look at some of the operation of some businesses, and we're looking forward to that. There's going to be some fundraisers to defray the cost. So, just to recommend that the board approve that extended field.
So moved. Second. Moved by Mrs. Matthews, second by Mrs. Powers. Roll call.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Murriela?
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Item L is a gift, and I wish to recommend the Board of Education accept the following gift. Quite a nice donation, Lakeview PTA donating $2,500 to the school to be used for the purchase of student plans. So,
Yeah.
You moved?
Yep.
Second. I'm sorry, I thought I heard you. Okay, moved by Mr. Spangler, second by Mrs. Powers. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Murriela?
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews? Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
At this point, we're at the Board of Education work session, and we have managed to discuss.
I just wanted to review for the board, our next meeting is January 9th. You do have some items under new business where you will be establishing the organizational meeting. And since you already do have a meeting scheduled on the 9th, you could make that your organizational meeting. And at that meeting, or for that meeting, since you are starting a new year, new calendar year, you need to appoint a president pro tem to open the meeting for the organizational meeting. And I want to review with you a little bit of after that, or what the president pro tem's role would be to open the meeting. There would be oaths of
under the Board of Education work session. I thought it was going to be under new business. Is that
Well, you're
the
gonna.
same?
What you're gonna do under new business
Is
is
do the
actually
president pro
establish
tem
it.
and the date.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just recapping it all for you and putting it
Okay.
before you, so it all makes sense to anyone in the public that's wondering what's going to happen under
Where,
new business.
where and when? What time and where?
Yeah, you will establish that here, for your organizational meeting. You're, already scheduled for the January 9th.
No, I mean, we're going to decide that under new business.
Yes, you can discuss that, new business for what time, and whether you want to keep it January 9th at 6 o'clock at the high school. Are there any questions about the upcoming organizational meeting?
Just answered the few questions we had ahead of time, so helped. Okay. At this time, it's any citizens commenting about the upcoming regular meeting. So we have time to have any comments or questions.
And actually, if I could, we do have our 2 new board members in the audience. If you have any questions about the upcoming organizational meeting, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I noticed that the calendar, will we be able to talk about the calendar between now and then?
Yes, yes, we sure will. What we would like to do is get together a board retreat prior to the organizational meeting. And I talked with Mrs. Powers this evening, and she works, I know you work too, Fred. So we're looking at a Saturday, perhaps, in January before the organizational meeting to get together. So we'll be getting in touch with you to check your schedules and get some dates for that.
Saturday the 7th is the only,
Yeah, right.
or, yeah, Saturday is the only,
Because the holidays are all on
That's the only
weekends.
all shot.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, you have Saturday the 7th and then the first meeting is the 9th, so.
Right.
Hello?
Well,
How much time do we anticipate?
just at a max 3 hours.
So it'll be a morning session.
Yeah, like we did prior.
We've done before.
9 to noon, something like that?
What's that, Saturday?
Do you want to do that January 7th?
Can I wait till January?
January 9th, January 7th.
Would the whole board get together?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
it would be a public.
Aren't the terms officially start on January 1st?
January 1st.
There's no meetings until.
We have to have a regular scheduled meeting then.
Correct. A notice
If we
would
do it in
go-
January.
A notice would go out, yes.
So I mean, that would
we
be like, that would have to be organizational.
Even if we did it in December, a notice would still go out because a quorum of the board would be present. So there would be 3 members and so. And if we did it in December,
Even though what I'm saying, though, you'd have to have, the first meeting is to be an organizational.
the
That
board
would have
has
to be an organizational.
the board has to meet for an organizational meeting, but you are permitted, new members of the board are permitted to meet with the board
Prior to January 1st.
Yeah.
Right, see, that's what I'm saying. So prior to January 1st, we can meet. But after January 1st, the first meeting with the new members would have to be an organizational meeting.
You could still meet before the organizational meeting if you needed to.
After, not after January 1st.
Yes, you could. You would take your oaths at that meeting.
Pardon?
You would take your oaths at that meeting,
At the first meeting.
yes.
Which the first meeting is to be, according to the ORC, is to be the organization meeting.
Which is January 9th.
So we would have to meet, what the ORC says is to poll, canvass the new members before the 1st, before January 1st, as of when and where the organizational meeting and that.
One thing we could do is this Saturday, if your schedules would allow it December 17th, this Saturday. We could meet this Saturday for 3 hours.
How about next week?
Well, then it's Christmas Eve after that.
How about next week? Anytime next week?
Catherine, is there any problem with having an organizational meeting prior to the original meeting, the actual board meeting, that the
That's in the schedule.
the
There's no
organizational
problem at all.
meeting would be in January, and then the board meeting would take place in the installment of the new officers?
Yes, you could do that.
Otherwise, what will end up being, right, if I may speak, is that I'm going to be there this Saturday, okay, Pat Matthews is going to be there,
Right.
and we have nothing to say.
That's right, yeah. That's
We
what
have
I'm
nothing-
getting
we
at.
have
That's
nothing
why,
to say.
that's why the ORC says that you canvass the new members. The treasurer is to canvass the new members. As of, and it's like doing, it's the only time you're really allowed to do a straw poll like deal. And that's before the members have taken office.
Right,
Because
as long as
Are we
there's no
doing
business
any
being taking
business?
place,
We're not doing
though.
any business.
There's no business.
There's no business taking place, I see no problem having it in January.
Right. So,
And if there's business that needs to be taking place in January, you'd have to have an emergency meeting and get everything going.
Right.
And get it going.
Right.
I would strongly suggest this be handled in January, after the holidays and so forth. That's my opinion.
So we've done it before. Have we not?
that's correct.
At least I think I've been in 3 of them.
Yes, we have. Should we do it the night before?
27th. So that's in,
2 of 3.
mhm.
And ours is not available during the week, so.
So all you're trying to do here is start, is basically kind of get a calendar. And you're at the organizational meeting, you can kind of go through the calendar at that point.
That's a draft.
Why don't we just have Mrs. Baldwin,
Yeah.
canvass everybody and try to figure out
That is
what
good.
makes
That
sense.
sounds good.
Sounds good.
I mean, I think it is additional business that's gonna be conducted.
You know, so what about that?
I think so. I think other than under the new business, there's no new business. And there were no citizen comments, so we're up to the new business. And I think we need to decide tonight who the president for TEF is going to be for the organizational meeting.
We established organizational meeting will be the 9th,
Mm-hmm.
and the time would be 6 o'clock at high school. She will need to appoint a temporary chairperson or president.
And we discussed and Mr. Spangler agreed to be president pro tem,
Agreed?
if that's agreeable to
Disagree
everybody.
with the board?
I appoint Mr. Spangler as president pro tem. Okay, I think that's all. We got the date, time, place.
We're looking at 6 p.m., high school, the 9th, correct?
Correct. And we'll shoot for the 7th for a short board retreat. And I will canvass the board members about the time, whether we can do that or not.
Okay. That was tomorrow. Oh, I just put that on this thing.
Doctor, thank you so much.
That's what he said. That was quick.
Please, my dear, would you step up?
And I don't believe we have
Give him a little
any.
bit of education.
Denny's leaving, they know it's your business. Where are you going? You can't wait, you can't wait. I don't believe we have any need for possible
executive session?
No, ma'am.
Before you wrap things up,
Yes.
we'd like to make a couple public comments. This is Mrs. Matthews and Mr. Mariola's last board meeting. And I just want to publicly thank you for your 4 years of service to the children of this school.
It was our pleasure, I'm sure.
It's been an honor to be your superintendent and work with you as board members. I've always taken it to heart that your decisions always had the best interest of kids in mind. And that's, I think, the basis of any good board member when you're making decisions. It's about kids and their interests. If it wasn't for kids, none of us would be here. And I always try to keep reminding our administrators and all of our folks, you know, that's what we're about. But that's second nature to both of you. And on a personal note, it's been enjoyable to develop a friendship with you and to work towards common goals. And we haven't always agreed on every single little item along the way, but that's okay. I think we've all, I know I've grown from your wisdom and leadership, and I sincerely appreciate that and look forward to our continued great relationship.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
Seriously, it's been a pleasure to work with you. As Dr. Jim said, your interest has been students first. And I have been doing this for many, many years, and I'm very impressed with, for just coming on 4 years ago, the passion that you have put into this and the tough decisions you had to make. When you got on board, you were stuck with trying to pass a levy and making cuts.
And the 2 of us.
And the 2 of you.
But you had to do both, and you had to do both, and it took 4 years to get there, and you've just done an extremely stellar job for being naive when you came in.
That's an understatement.
And if I could recall, one of the meetings that I attended with Mr. Mariola, it was at Tangiers, the Northeast Ohio region Ohio School Board's meeting. We sat with a gentleman who I think had 31, 32 years experience and was deciding whether he was going to run one more time. And Denny began to share his experiences with this gentleman, and this guy looked at him and said, "Oh my God, I've been doing this all these years, and I've never done any of that." So you guys hit the ground with your feet running, and you just did a fantastic job, and you will be sorely missed.
Thank you. And I have to add too, I know I have really enjoyed working with Dr. Jones, Mrs. Baldwin, but also the board members. And we haven't always agreed either, have we? You know, we've been through thick and thin, but I think we can leave feeling very proud that after 10, 11 years, we finally have new money. I mean, if anything was an accomplishment, it's that new money. So that we may be able to, now we have to work on the renewal, but so that we can go forward with all the wonderful plans that are in your head, but just have never been able to be executed due to lack of funds. So, but don't, we're still here in Stow. We haven't moved away. So
We're going to rely on that.
yeah, definitely. Oh, wouldn't mind. I know I've already planned, I think April's the month, for pretty soon for starting to work on a renewal for next year, or the year after, or the year
So
after.
are you saying you're going to lead, you and Denny will lead our levy campaign?
As Denny always says, I'm speaking for myself.
Just your opinion.
Just my opinion. Quote unquote, that's a Denny, after 4 years, I can hear that in my sleep, so you're right.
And they've said so much, what can you add except that really your experience and your wisdom and always your very sound way sage advice has been very helpful to me, and I've been wishing.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Listen, you're going to do a great job.
Thank you.
And
Denny?
again, you know,
Yes, dear.
anytime.
You're so cantankerous, but but you know what? You always
Today, tomorrow, and in the future.
you always ask right in the middle of it, and you knew what was going on every single time. And how many times have I called you and said, did I miss something?
Yeah.
So thank you so much for really all that
I'm
you've
sorry.
done.
Pat, I'd like to say something. No, listen.
Danny, your nephew's
No,
out
I'll tell you what,
Danny.
the whole thing here is, being on the school board, we all have taken it very seriously, from day one. We're a brand new board, we're a brand new board here. And we took it very seriously, and I'm proud of everybody that was here, and especially what was the beauty of this whole thing, as tough as it was throughout the years, 4 years, and I mean, arguing with Catherine, yelling
That's
at
a tough
Dr.
one.
Jones and so forth and so on. You know what? After the business was handled, how's your family doing? We got back to, so the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of great friendships that developed in these 4 years also. It wasn't that we created enemies and had enemies for 4 years. We had friends for 4 years.
Very true.
Very
Bravo.
Very true.
Love you, man.
Okay,
Now
back
she
at it.
tells you that, now she tells you. Oh, and with that, I guess we're going to have to have a motion to adjourn. All things have to come to an end.
May I?
Yes,
No.
it's yours. No. Yeah, no, yeah. Go
No,
ahead.
yeah, no.
You want to trade?
Yeah.
I'll take yours.
You just learn about some special meeting or something they have to call out.
You never know. No, you're allowed to take it.
The school property, you can't take that.
Where's the inventory? I want to see inventory list right now. We're never going to get into this. Okay, the 6:55, so moved, and Powers wants that. Powers.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and second by Mr. Spangler. Roll
Yeah.
call, please.
Mr. Mariola.
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews.
Aye.
Mrs. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Spangler.
Aye.
Mrs. Frank. Aye. We are adjourned.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Daddy really did take this?